You are now listening to Regular Guys Podcast. Have no fear, because Regular Guys Podcast is back. We welcome you guys to another week of Regular Guys Podcast. We are on episode 14. If you're listening to us on this beautiful Monday morning, hey, we thank you so much for tuning in, looking at us on YouTube, seeing our beautiful shiny faces on this glorious Monday morning. We thank you so much. As always, I'm your host, Matty Ice, joined by some good guys here. Special guest, Mike McCarter. For you guys that don't know, this is my right-hand man on the football field. Back in the heyday, Mike was that middle linebacker. I was that safety, the dynamic duo. If you're listening to this and you know, we were your favorite defender's favorite defender. So I'm just going to say that. Mike, give the people a good shout out, man. Tell people what's up.
Hey man, hey everybody that's tuned in, welcome. I'm appreciative to have y'all let me come on and talk to some regular guys about some sports. So
Yeah, man, that's what we're about. Regular guys talking about sports, and you, the fans, getting perspective of regular people. Always in each and every week, Poppy Chulo, Jake. Jake, tell the
Hey,
people what's good, man.
what's up, guys? Happy to be here. Excited about this week. Been busy week. Went by pretty fast, but happy to have Mike on the show. Been wanting him on the show. I'm only really talked to Mike since we played football. I got bruises to show it still. It's been like 10 years, 12 years, but I still got them bruises there. And then me on offensive line, and he just goes right behind me, kicks my legs, throws my shoulders back. I'm like, okay, sitting there like a bobblehead, and I'm like, all right. He's like, fix your stance, okay? Yes,
man,
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man,
And then that
definitely
was it.
some good
good
times,
battle.
man. Yeah, good times playing
Yeah.
football, of
Good
course.
battle.
But we got a good show planned for you guys. Obviously, Mike's here. He will be helping us break down the AFC North as a Ravens fan. But to begin with our show, we will be starting off with underrated players. So last week we touched on overrated players. We got a little spicy here. We had Jason, of course, here with us. And then we'll get into off-topic news. Obviously, we all saw the news of Cam Akers, torn
Mhm.
Achilles out for the year. We'll touch on that. Get into division breakdown again as we get closer and closer to the season. And then as we get into the NBA part, we'll actually have another special guest. Obviously, Caleb Garcia, who you guys have seen visiting us from Phoenix again, talking underrated players and talking the finals that just finished up. So, to begin, underrated players. Now, again, before we get into this subject, for those who are listening, watching, just already start right now to think in your mind who you feel in the NFL right now is underrated. Now, here on Regular Guys, we like the guests to go first. So, Mike, you have the floor. Take it away with your underrated player in the NFL.
I've been watching this particular player for some time. Not sure he still fits this topic as an underrated player, but I'm going to go to cornerback. Um, Xavier Howard right now, the Dolphins as a underrated slash he's a bubbling player. I've been watching him for quite some time. So watching him before, he was very underrated. Now you could possibly classify him as not as much underrated, but I definitely have him pegged um, as an underrated player.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I would definitely say maybe in like the last couple years, he was definitely underrated. Um, but like you alluded to now, some might say he's the best corner. Me personally, I'm not going to say that, but he is definitely top two. So obviously that'll let you know where I feel he stands as the as far as corners go. But Jake, what's your take on Mike's underrated player Xavier Howard?
I mean, as a fan, as a Jets fan, like I go for the Jets. I don't like Xavier Howard. I don't like anybody that wears that Dolphins jersey. But it's true. He's a phenomenal cornerback. Like you have to respect him when you see him on the field. Me personally, as a fan, I'd rather see Byron Jones than Xavier Howard.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
Right now on the Dolphins, if I see Byron Jones on one of my guys, I'm like, okay, at least Howard is somewhere else. I don't got to worry about him.
Yeah.
I think Howard, his talent is tremendous. He's the number one corner on that team, and I personally think he's top five, top six right now.
Okay. Okay. Um, I'm gonna go next. Now, my guy has
Big Q.
been around the league. Oh no, Big Q's not underrated. He's properly rated.
That's a fact.
Yeah, everyone knows I have a big man crush on Big Q. But my guy has been in the league since 2013. Now, he's a receiver, all right? And my guy is nonetheless than Mr. Robert Woods.
Oof.
When you
Mm,
think when you think Los Angeles Rams, you don't go to the offensive side of the ball at first because of the studs on defense, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, who some might, pin as the best corner in the league. But then when you go on offense, he's still not at the top of that list. Cooper Cup, obviously now Matt Stafford. Then there's Robert Woods. So why do I feel Robert Woods is underrated? Not only is he underrated as far as fantasy goes, which I had last year, man, that guy is definitely, you want double digits, a consistent 10, 15 on a good day, 20 on an excellent day. Robert Woods, sign me up again. But just to look at his numbers, just for the last 3 years just we'll go into the last 3 years. Not only is he durable, has played all 16 games within the last 3 years twice. He missed one game in 2019, so still pretty good. Has put up in the last 3 years over 1,000 yards twice. Now, this is for a guy who many may say is not the number one guy, number one target for them. Obviously, Cooper Cup working it out in the slot. Excellent route runner. Love me some Cooper Cup. But yet, there's Mr. Robert Woods just chugging along, getting it done. Obviously, you see the guy behind me. Obviously, that's not the number he's going to be wearing next year. Him and Jalen Ramsey had a little bit of a debate. He will be rocking the number 2 like he did back in USC. So that's my guy, Robert Woods. As far as reception goes, back-to-back years of 90. The guy literally just gets the ball. You need a little, spark in the running game, jet sweep, give it to Robert Woods. He's not a burner, but he's got really good speed enough to make a difference. So I feel like he definitely gets overlooked a lot in that team alone. Again, just because of headline by the big names, Aaron Donald and such. So that's my guy who I have for underrated in today's league. Mike, what's your thoughts on that?
one really good pick. I would you might have had me sold halfway through, but I think he's more of a system player. I think he's a really good peg with that offense. I'm interested to see this year how he produces along Matt Stafford. Seeing that, which we'll get into a little bit later, with Cam Akers being down, Matt might have to throw it around a little bit more. So yeah, but I think that's a solid pick. I like that. I look for him to probably he might get over 100 touches this year. I,
Yeah,
I, I can kind of I can kind of see that.
yeah, I agree. What about you, Jake?
I feel the same as Mike, to be honest. I think that he was a system guy. I think he was Goff's guy. I don't think it was Cup. I think Robert Woods was Goff's first option, and if the play was designed for Cooper Cup, then Cooper Cup got the ball. Now, Matt Stafford is a guy that he loves to throw deep. He's a deep ball guy. I feel like Robert Woods could either have 100 plus touches, like Mike said, or he'll play that Marvin Jones role
Yeah,
where he'll
which is
have,
which is still good,
yeah,
ladies and
which is
gentlemen. Yeah,
good, but there were weeks that Marvin Jones would have like two or three catches.
yeah,
And then
Right.
there's other weeks where he's has 15, 17 receptions, 300 yards, and a couple touchdowns. So it's either or. I don't know if there's a middle. Maybe with Cam Akers out, might be a middle area right there. But
Mhm.
that's where I think Robert Woods fits in. But it is a good play. When you talk about receivers, rarely does Robert Woods come up.
yeah. And I would definitely agree with you guys on the system part. So just kind of looking at the stats, obviously drafted by Buffalo in 2013, stayed there till 2016. Never really broke the bank. Only got over 600 twice. didn't really kind of start shining till he got to the Rams in 2017. Um, so yeah, I mean, it could be a lot due to the system. Obviously, Sean McVay, how some may view as a offensive genius, offensive guru at such a young age. But yeah, I definitely agree there. We'll see. Obviously, Deshaun Jackson is there, but it doesn't really mean anything. He's only gonna be good for like one game, um, and then he'll be gone. But and they drafted Tutu Atwell, which I was not a big fan of.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
and then they got Van. Yeah, they got my boy Van, me and Mike's boy Van there, Van Jefferson. So we'll
love it. Love that pick.
yeah, I absolutely love that pick. But we'll see what happens. I did, going to this. Who did I have? Honorable mention. I'll tell you guys who I had at first. I had Jesse Bates. I feel like Jesse Bates is
Man.
is good. Oh, somebody's smiling. I feel like I might have stolen somebody's. Hey, it's all
Oh,
right. He's underrated. He's underrated. So you can still
man.
talk about him. I give it to Jesse because he had I want and Jake may obviously be able to go more. When I was looking, I think he had like 15, 12 pass defenses this year. Only 3 picks. Now he has been consistent with the 3 picks since he's been in the league. I would, however, like to see some of these, pass breakups turn into more picks. So, and I think because of the market he's in, Cincinnati, I mean, the most famous player, at least to my knowledge, that's stepped through there has been Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco. So it's kind of
What about
hard.
Pac-Man Jones?
Yeah. But yeah, moving on, we'll go into Jake. Jake, hit us with your underrated player in the NFL.
Well, after you shot it down just now, Jesse Bates, that's who I picked. But the main reason why I picked Jesse Bates, because last week we were talking about Jamal Adams. Okay. And Jamal Adams falls. He's in talks right now to be the highest paid safety. And when we
Mm,
talk about safeties, we say you need to be a ball hawk, you need to get more on the pass deflections. That's what you get with Jesse Bates. That's what he does. You want him to be the ball hawk. Yeah, he's not getting, double digit picks, but really, which corners are getting double picks or even safeties? It's very rare. It's only the elite that get that. And he's getting the forced fumbles. He only has 2 less than Jamal Adams. But yet, when you talk about top safeties, Jesse Bates never pops up. Never when you say, give me top 5, maybe even top 10. Only maybe football guys would bring up Jesse Bates at top 10. But for the general public, Jesse Bates doesn't pop up on there. And he's proven that he's healthy. He plays the 16 games. He's getting you the picks, 3 picks a game. I mean, 3 picks a season. And his pass deflections are going up each year.
mm,
So that he's creating opportunities to get those picks. So that's why I picked Jesse Bates, because if you're going to say Jamal Adams is going to be the top safety, at least pay wise, then where's Jesse Bates at?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I feel like you have to be a big fan of the game to know a guy like Jesse Bates, to
Yeah.
watch a guy like Jesse Bates, because obviously the Bengals are not your flashy team, but just to be able to watch them and to kind of like know their players. I mean, there's so many struggling parts on that defense. I feel like him and William Jackson don't really get enough love because of the revolving pieces that are around them. They seem to always be the main two consistent guys. So definitely a good pick. Again, he's definitely underrated. I feel like he's underrated. I do feel like just going forward, obviously the pass defenses have gone up each year. Let's convert some of those into picks. I don't
Yeah.
need double digit. Obviously, you're not like Ed Reed. There's not many people bred like Ed Reed. But if you can even get close to 10, I'll accept it.
Oh,
I'll
100%.
definitely say you're of the elite. And then the fact you're a free safety creating forced fumbles, that's still big in my book. So
And Jamal Adams, how we mentioned he had the crazy high amount of tackles. Those
yeah,
are plays designed for him to blitz off the line, blitz off the edge.
yeah,
He gets specific packages made for him.
yeah.
So
He's
that's why
glorified
Jamal
linebacker.
Adams gets those numbers. Exactly.
Yeah,
But if Jesse Bates, if they're telling him sit back, watch the quarterback, just be my normal DB, I just need you to just control the offense, make sure they don't pass. That's what he's doing. Granted, like you said, you're getting those pass deflections. Now let's try to convert them.
yeah. Mikey,
I
you got
think
anything to
also
add to that?
too in the division that he's in too that plays a lot of it. as we'll talk about later on, he's in a division that guys predominantly run the ball.
Oh
So
yeah.
you probably, now with what we'll get into a little bit later, you talk about the Ravens and their passing game, Pittsburgh and Ben. It might afford him a little bit more opportunity to make plays on the ball especially if he's back deep. But I would definitely agree with you talking about Jamal Adams. If side note, I kind of look at him almost as a linebacker. I know
Yeah.
he played safety, but I would pay him like a linebacker.
Yeah.
Because if you talk about his game, he plays like you mentioned, Jacob. He plays around the line of scrimmage a lot because that's where he's most effective. You get Jamal deep third, he a little shaky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I
looking at
saw him on the
chops.
Jets. I know he's shaky.
Right, right. I would prefer, Jesse Bates, over a Jamal Adams when it comes to pass coverage. Because at least I know if he gets to the ball,
There's
push
a
come
good
to shove, he can
chance.
knock it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rather than Jamal.
Yeah. Jamal
yeah.
had 3 pass deflections last season,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
little.
I mean,
and Jesse Bates had 15.
we mentioned last week in my overrated players, he was my pick for overrated. Definitely a glorified linebacker. Stats wise, it just speaks linebacker. And there's nothing wrong with that. If he makes the switch, man, you might end up being an elite of the elite because of your size, your nose for the run game, and he had almost 10 sacks, but you're safety and you only have 2 picks. Again, Jamal Adams, we know you listen to the show. Don't DM me, bro, trying to talk
On
smack
his
about
burner
me.
account.
Right, don't pull a KD. But
If I do really quick though, I do
yeah, go
have an
ahead.
honorable mention. Speaking of safeties, I'm gonna go Justin Simmons
I like that pick.
Denver
Yeah, I'd
Broncos.
agree too.
Yeah.
Solid guy, big, rangy DB. Um, Playing a lot of those teams out there. You got Chiefs. You got to deal with Kelsey,
Yeah.
Tyreek, Aaron Waller. When it comes to the Raiders, so but he's one I've been watching too. If
Yeah.
that maybe that's who I should have started with with Justin Simmons.
Yeah,
But,
not still a good mention though. So yeah, man, that's who we have for underrated players. You guys let us know down in the comments. Obviously, there's so many underrated players, and we could literally keep going on and on. But you guys let us know. Do you agree with our underrated list? Maybe there's somebody we're not thinking of. So you guys let us know down in the comments what you feel or who you feel is underrated. But moving off topic, gentlemen, news broke out a couple of days ago that Cam Akers suffered a torn Achilles and will miss the 2021 season. Now, as it stands, they have not signed anyone to come in. Me personally, I would love a Todd Gurley reunion, but they have said that they are going to stick with who's on the depth chart. Now, before I let these guys dive into their thoughts on this injury and the outlook of the Rams going forward, I'm just going to read the names of the guys that are on their depth chart. Obviously, now the lead guy is Darrell Henderson. Behind him is Xavier Jones. You have Jake Funk and Raymond Calais. Who?
Yeah. I was waiting
yeah.
for some feedback on that guy.
Yeah. So,
Where
uh,
did he play?
yeah. So we'll start with you, Jake. Just let us know your initial thoughts on the injury for Cam Akers.
I think it's a huge blow for the Rams. I thought Cam Akers was going to have a breakout season this year. Like Cam Akers, just to go over his stats, only started 5 games, and he had 625 yards, more yards than Darrell Henderson had. Okay, he had granted only 2 touchdowns, but it's not just that. Like even in the receiving game, he had 14 targets out of only the 5 games he started. With Jared Goff, that wasn't a backfield passer. That shows you that Cam Akers was getting open. They were probably designing plays for him to do that. I could have seen him pick up that dual threat running back type of game, as it developed throughout the season. But I definitely saw him, especially getting over 1,000 yards combined for sure. So I thought Cam Akers was going to have a tremendous season this year.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. Mike, let us know what your thoughts are for the Rams and how this affects them going forward.
One, it seems they have a case of bad luck with running backs, for one. Hopefully, this doesn't turn into Todd Gurley 2.0. But I like the backup in Daryl Henderson. Um, Watched him some time when he was at Memphis. Kind of a big, solid guy. If I look at his stats, anytime he's gotten over 20 touches, which is only been one time, he's went over 100 yards. So I think, but I look at some other of his stats from last year, 15 touches, 60 yards, 80 yards. So I think he may pop up as dependable. I don't really see too many catches from him, which in that system might raise some eyebrows because we know Sean McVay likes to toss it all around. When we watch Todd Gurley slip out the backfield and with a soft touch in his hands, he made some plays for them. So but I think they might be in good hands. I think Daryl Henderson needs to come into this season in shape. And if he comes in shape, I think the Rams might pick up right where they left off.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Daryl Henderson always felt like he had the potential, was drafted, and you just felt like he was going to, I wouldn't say be what Todd Gurley was when Todd Gurley before the knee injuries, but just at least be able to soften the blow that you don't have Todd Gurley anymore. I definitely agree with you. I feel like they do need to go into training camp and just establish that Henderson, you are the guy. Just go ahead and let them know that you are the guy. But that doesn't mean that during preseason, during the season, that you can't give your backup some good snaps also. Um, but yeah, I do agree with your assessment there, Mike. Of hopefully he can catch the ball out of the backfield. We saw when Stafford was with Detroit. I mean, he
Mhm.
was, he spread the ball around to a lot of guys, like you mentioned. Obviously, the backfield guys got some love too. So we'll see. Obviously, fantasy guys everywhere will be looking to take him. Jake, stay away from Henderson early. All right, cool.
Now you can have him. I'm good at running back.
I mean, so am I, but you can never have too much. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. Um, we definitely was a big blow for the Rams offense, who with a running game and with Stafford, a good quarterback, and the receivers and the weapons they have, it just felt like it was going to be top three potential. I
Yeah,
still think it could potentially. We just got to see what Henderson can do.
because I felt they could have pulled up. Not that they would have been exactly like them, but in the form of having two running backs, you could have been like the Browns.
Yes, I
Have the two good
definitely agree
running
with that.
backs. One's your runner, one's your pass catcher, and then when you throw them both out there, you don't know what they're gonna do. It throws you off a little bit, just enough. And you have Matt Stafford back there who can sling it. So if you just get the defense hesitating just for a millisecond, that gives him enough time to do what he's got to do. But I do agree with Mike. Daryl Henderson is not a bad backup. It's not like they have literally nobody's back there. Daryl Henderson, his first season, they were trying to force Gurley back. They were trying
Mhm.
to make Gurley what he wasn't anymore. So
Yeah,
Henderson didn't really get his feet wet, didn't get a chance. And then last season we saw some glimpses. They didn't know exactly which route they wanted to go. Cam
yeah,
Akers or Henderson. So like you said, Matt, pick a guy. Well, this season you don't have a choice. It's
yeah.
Henderson.
Henderson's definitely the guy, unless
And
he getting injured.
I wouldn't mind if they signed like a Adrian Peterson, but more as a vet guy to talk to him, to
Mm,
teach him the ropes. Let's try to fix this. An on the field coach
yeah,
that can relate to him. Because I
yeah,
feel like if you bring Gurley back, it might be at least in the fans and the way the media is. Oh, is it Gurley's team? Is I don't know. I just don't think it's a good pick in that sense. But I do think a veteran guy just to teach him, help him out, wouldn't be bad.
Mhm.
I agree. So you guys let us know if you're a Rams fan. Let us know down in the comments how you're feeling right now with the news of Cam Akers going down for the year. Obviously, you still big hopes for the Rams going forward, but we will see as the season kicks off in over a month and a half. But as we have been doing each and every week of breaking down division by division, getting you and our appetites wet, ready for some football. We can't wait for football. We are tackling the AFC North. So, as we have been every week, we will start with the division winner. Obviously, I was wrong. I thought it was the Ravens.
What?
It was not.
Was
It
the
was
Browns?
the Pittsburgh
I
Steelers.
forgot. I thought they was trash last season.
Many people honestly forgot too. They started off hot, 9-0, 10-0, and then it just went downhill.
And it's gonna
So,
continue going
and it's
downhill.
only going to continue going downhill. Jake, I believe you have the Steelers. So
Yes, sir.
Wheelers.
start us off with a team weakness for the Pittsburgh Steelers going into the season.
What do you
Right off
start?
the bat, offensive line.
Facts.
They lost Marquise Pouncey. He retired. Then they went ahead and released David DeCastro for some reason. Um, whether or not you couldn't keep him next year, you don't know how if Big Ben's even going to come back next year.
Yeah.
So just leave as much of your line as you can. Try to do something this year, but they let David DeCastro go, and they signed two quick band-aids in Trey Turner, and then they signed Jaron Jones, Chaz Green, just some guys to plug and play probably, see who does better. But with Najee Harris, your number one pick in the draft, and you're throwing a very
Wounded.
very bad, wounded
Yeah.
O line.
Mm.
I don't see how that's gonna work out. And then you got Juju probably gonna do TikTok dances right before he lines up on the
Corvette,
scrimmage.
Corvette.
So I don't like the Steelers this year. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I never
that's
liked them.
that's
Yeah.
that's their weakness that I have to say. At least big weakness. There's other spots, but I think that's the biggest one.
I got you. So let us know now a team strength for them heading into the season.
I think it's the defense. Yeah, they lost Bud Dupree, but let's be honest. Bud Dupree is an overrated player. He got the
Yeah.
bag. Congratulations. But you still have TJ Watt. You still have Minka. That can mess that enough is enough for you to respect that defense. They still have Stephon Tuitt. He's solid.
Hayward.
Um, Hayward is solid. Now the other guys at corner, they're older. They can easily be burnt. They can be taken advantage of. But if TJ Watt's not giving your quarterback time to throw, that could really mess you up. So
Yeah.
strength wise, I think it's the defense. I don't think it's going to be as good, but you need a
Still
strength.
solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to answer your question, so I'm
Yeah.
going
Still
with the
solid.
defense.
Now
Mm.
for a player on the hot seat.
Oh,
Come on. It's only one person, bro. Just go ahead and say it.
Corvette, Corvette.
yeah, it's Juju, man. He signed a 1 year deal, and it's a make it or break it deal. I feel
Yeah.
if he doesn't perform, he's gonna be back in the same boat. Um, I wanted to say Mike Tomlin, but I think he's doing the best he can with what he has. I think it's the higher ups that are forcing Big Ben on him, more like what the Giants did with Eli. I love me Saquon, but that was a draft that you went quarterback
Mhm.
and you skip on Barkley. But you try to force another ring out of Eli, and I think they're trying to do the same thing with Big Ben. Just let it die, let the man retire, let him have his peace. But I feel like they're forcing the game on him and they're forcing him on Mike Tomlin. So that's why I give him some slack. So
I
I'm gonna have
got
to go
you.
Juju.
So now let us know a player you are most excited to watch for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Chase Claypool. I loved him last season. Like, yeah, he's on the Steelers, but I legitimately loved him playing wide receiver. For me, he's the number one guy.
Yeah.
I think it's him and then Juju and Deontay Johnson and James Washington are fighting for that second spot. But I think it's Chase Claypool, and he's not a slot guy. He's big and he's quick. He can definitely be your outside wide receiver, and in the red zone, you need to look for him because Ebron's out here dropping I don't know how many passes a game, so you can't really count on him. You need
Yeah.
Claypool's got to be your guy.
Yeah. And last but not least, give us a team record followed by 2 key wins and 2 key losses.
um, okay. trying to be respectful because
Yeah.
I do have
Nah,
family
bro.
members that are Pittsburgh Steelers
Just
fans.
do it, bro.
Nah,
Just
bro,
just
But
go.
I'm
Go
not trying
for
to
it.
hear none of that. What you talking
Yeah,
about?
just
I'm gonna let you know that.
it's either gonna be 4-13 or
Oof.
5-12.
Oof. Ethan, I know you're listening. Just accept it.
That's where I see. But like for example, week 1 against Buffalo, they gonna lose.
Yeah, that's it now.
Against the Raiders, it's a toss up to be honest. But I might give them that one. And then it's Bengals, Packers, even the Broncos is tough for them. Seattle, then Cleveland, then the Bears, who are always tough on defense. That's a long stretch there where they can just keep catching L's.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Pittsburgh
That's where I
fans
see
not looking too
Steelers.
pretty for you. But moving on to our second place winner, the Baltimore Ravens. That is why Mike is here with us today. Ravens fan, we like to get real fans to break down their teams to get a real perspective from them. So, Mike,
Right.
we're going to start off with team weakness heading into the 2021 season.
Might surprise you a little bit, but I'm a bit of a realist. I love my squad, but our pass rush sucks. Like,
I would agree.
if you if you notice, we went into the draft. We tried to get a pass rusher, end up with a Dafe, which has me puzzled because why would you get a first round pick that didn't record any sacks? A lot of pressures, no sacks, which has me worried. Throwback Ravens team, we had a person of that on each level. If you think about it, we had Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed.
Yeah.
I know we're not going to build that same way, but our pass rush is lacking.
Yeah. Now, what about a team strength heading into the season?
Obviously, it's running the ball. We're gonna get off the bus and run for 200 yards easy against anybody. I think that's always nice to have in your back pocket, knowing that if you get to a point in the season, maybe Lamar's not doing too well, you can easily use him as a runner. We brought back Gus Johnson, so we brought back the bus for us between him, J.K. and Gus with also Pat. You know, Pat Ricard. We got some options that can get downhill. So
And a player on the hot seat heading into the season.
I'm going to a defensive side of the ball. I'm going Brandon Williams, our defensive tackle. 'Cause as of late, it seems like he's hurt. Between him and Pernell McPhee, it's like who's going to play, who's not going to play. Brandon Williams is supposed to be our big guy in the middle. Now it seems as of late, Calais Campbell's kind of taking over that role. I mean, obviously he's huge, but Brandon Williams is a guy that I think he's 32, 33, if I'm not mistaken. He's a bit older. So I think it might be his time to cycle on out of Baltimore.
Yeah, that's good. The fact that you gave a hot seat, a lot of people tend to go like, the flashy play, but obviously the Ravens defenses have been what have normally put them over the top and have them win championships. So I like that you have a defensive tackle on the hot seat. Now give us a player that you are most excited for heading into the season.
Um, Rashard Bateman. I got two. So my first pick is going to be Rashard Bateman. As you know, we definitely needed a big boost at the wide out position. I was kind of upset that we were in the Julio sweepstakes and that didn't hit. That's one pick I was hoping that. Could you just imagine Julio, Marquise, Rashard Bateman? Rashard Bateman along with Sammy. That's my second.
Goodness.
That's like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness,
that would have been deadly.
There would have been no
Yeah.
excuse at that point.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was wow.
That's my point exactly. My point exactly. We would have no excuses. Lamar, you have weapons galore. Go and get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, just briefly, I don't like the fact that now he's with Tennessee. And that's like
I don't like it either. I got to play that guy twice a year.
Hey, but I mean, if you know the past couple of years, we've been having some big beefs with them.
Oh
in
yeah,
the playoffs.
big beefs is an understatement. This is like a college "I hate you" type rivalry.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, so I'm devastated. Like, okay, you see what they did to us last year. Now you add Julio to that. I'm like, even if he's 60%, that's okay. I
Oh,
don't even,
100%.
Yes,
bro,
major difference.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't even want to think about it.
Now give us your final prediction on the Baltimore Ravens outlook for the season.
To be honest, ultimately, I probably have us either going 12-5, 13-4. Um,
I can see
I
that.
got a feeling. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got a feeling. The rest of the conference is catching up. The man that you see right behind Matt, that's Cleveland. Cleveland. Here's my thing. They look great on paper, but I got a feeling they have the bit of the Dallas Cowboys curse. A lot of talent across the board, but for some reason cannot put it together. We just talked about them earlier. How do you have two phenomenal running backs? You basically have two receivers that can go and get it done, tight end and David Njoku. It's just talent all across the board. But for some reason, I don't think they can put it together. Maybe it's coaching or whatever the reason. But and you have Pittsburgh. Obviously, that might be the sore eye of the conference this year. But you talk about Joe Burrow, in Cincinnati, they might have some key pieces coming together. So I feel that we might drop. I don't want to say two, but definitely one to Cleveland. I think they picked up Jadavian Clowney, so now that gives them speed going side to side with.
Or
And listen,
or
regardless if he's a bust or whatever Jadavian Clowney decides to wake up and do, but we know he's a big man that can run fast side to side. So that
yeah.
that put a hampers on what as Ravens fans what we like to do. So I'm really hoping that this passing game develops quite quickly between Bateman and whoever he wants to throw the ball to. Just get it out,
I got you.
because yeah,
I think if Bateman develops properly and the way that we all want him to, that's gonna open the field for Marquise Brown.
Yeah.
He's gonna eat because if
Yeah,
they
it's
gotta
easy.
cover somebody on the outside,
Yeah.
Marquise is gonna kill that slot.
Yeah, it's easy
absolutely.
to key in on Brown when he's pretty much your only threat as far as wideouts go. So I love the additions that the Ravens have added.
Even
Drafted,
Watkins.
yeah, Watkins is going to be a nice, solid guy. They also drafted a guy out of Oklahoma State who's I feel a little
Love
bit
him. Wallace,
underrated. Yes,
love him.
yes. Okay, see,
Love him.
this is why I like Mike on the show, because me and Mike obviously we watch college football. We watch a
Yeah.
lot of schools and guys who you may not know, but we
That's a
do.
fact.
So
Yeah.
he's sneaky good. I
We
want
still
to see
have
what.
we still have Pro Size 2 from Texas.
Yeah,
Justin Hill, that's still part of this team. That between J.K. and Gus, he's another option that can like a jet sweep type of guy. We
yeah,
have two of those guys that can play in between. But Wallace was a sneaky pick. I didn't expect.
yeah,
I didn't expect
yeah.
that.
I
But
really loved it, but
I'm actually happy they got rid of Mark Ingram. I'm happy they let him
it
walk
was just writing on the wall. It was
because
J.K. Dobbins had
I
came
think
into his
J.K. is
own.
gonna
Yeah,
he needs to be the main guy.
yeah,
I
I
do. I'm happy that we could. Mark Ingram, yes, I liked him because he was a team guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
You guy
You
that can
need
come
that.
in that's gonna talk to both sides of the ball and get everybody ready to go. But I do like the fact that we kept Gus. Like we
Yeah,
need some JK, I think is still a tad bit too light as a runner.
I
And I
agree.
like Gus
Yeah,
being a bit
get the
more solid down
yeah
there.
the ground and pound 1 yard line type. Yeah. But now we are going to break down the Cleveland Browns. Now, where most of you thought heading into the season, man, this team, like Mike mentioned, they have everything. They hired a new coach, offense coordinator from the Minnesota Vikings, sorry, Kevin Stefanski, and have two good, if not great, running backs in today's game, and Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham's there, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, Njoku. Great offensive line. Literally, the writing was there. This was a great. Well, what's not clicking? Insert Kevin Stefanski. The Cleveland Browns have identified that they are a running team, and this works for Baker. So I don't want to keep going on too much. Obviously, the guy right behind me wants me to get this going, and Mr. Odell Beckham Jr. So heading into the season, the team weakness I have for them is corner. Now, don't get me wrong. What's his name on the outside from Ohio
Denzel
State?
Ward.
Denzel Ward.
Denzel,
Denzel
like
Ward might honestly have cracked our underrated list too, as a corner perspective. But outside of that, you have some unprovens. Now, obviously, you drafted Greg Newsom, who many hope he can be your number two. But a couple years ago, you also drafted Greedy Williams, who has yet to show up. So, I didn't want to say the secondary as a whole because you signed some good pieces. I believe Marcus Johnson you got from the Rams, really
like
good.
that.
Yeah, really solid pick for you in the secondary. So I can't say the whole secondary. I'm just going to say corner on. Denzel Ward can't do it all by himself. Obviously, you would hope that Greg Ward and Greedy Williams show up to the party so you can have a good three-guy rotation. I'm not sure who necessarily plays this, the nickel spot. We'll see. But I got to go corner as a team weakness. Team strength, it's got to be your defensive line. I could have said offensive line too. It's really, really good. But man, when you got Miles Garrett on the other side of the ball,
That man
Mm.
is a
that man
monster.
is a monster.
Bro, all you have to say is Miles Garrett, and that's it.
Literally. Yeah, I don't know.
That's
We're
That's
not even
it.
gonna talk about the overrated guy on the other side, Mr. Clowney, Mr. One playing college. Anyway, um, yeah, defensive line. We're not even gonna keep on going with that. Player on the hot seat. Where some may say that the guy standing behind me is a player on the hot seat. I can't go there because he's coming off an injury. I would say he's 1B to this. I'm going to go Baker. As I mentioned beforehand, you have two of everything. You got two good running backs, Hunt, Chubb. You have two good receivers, Beckham, Landry. You even added Anthony Schwartz, a speeder, a burner from Auburn. And you have Austin Hooper and the Joker, which I'm not saying they're going to scare you, but it's enough with what they have around them that they should be able to get open. And you have a great offensive line. Top two, top three, top five, however you may have your offensive line rankings in the league. So yes, the if you want to take that championship step, yes, you are a running team. There's nothing wrong with that. That eases the pain or the I can't think of the word. It eases the stress off of Baker. But Baker has to take that next step. Kevin Stefanski is a really good offensive coordinator. If PJ was here, they let great coaches go and they go on to be great instead of keeping them in Minnesota. But that's another story for another time.
Mm.
Player I'm most excited for is the guy standing right behind me, Odell Beckham Jr., coming off the injury. Um, Obviously, he would say, and all of us would say, that he was maybe sent to Cleveland to die, for his career to die. But obviously, things have kind of changed. Now they finished last year 11-5. He got hurt a good part of the season. So the fact that they were still able to do what they did without him, I would like to see him come back. Obviously, he needs to realize this is not the Giants. Just because you are that superstar receiver, you are not going to get many talents. We need to feed the run game as it should be. You have a two-headed monster that I don't know if anybody can really stop. So we shall see. I'm excited to watch him. Team record, I'm going to go 11-6. To me, it's a two-man race between them and the Ravens for the division crown. I'm going to give the leg up on the Ravens by a game, but like
Yeah.
Mike said, I could see it flip flop. I really could, just depending on where it goes. Two key losses I have are to the Week 1 Kansas City Chiefs. It's a rematch of that second round playoff exit, but you're not facing the backup. Mahomes is back, so there's that. And I'm gonna give them a loss to the Los Angeles Chargers.
The disrespect.
Why? Because after Week 1, You go Houston, Chicago, Minnesota, which I gave them 3 wins. I feel like you're on this high that you're not looking at the Chargers. You're just, oh, it's the Chargers. We should beat them. And I feel like
Are they going to LA?
they are at LA, which is why I gave
Ah,
them, yeah, which is why I gave them the loss. If it was at home, I would definitely give them, but you're on back-to-back away games at Minnesota, and I give you that one, but I don't see you going back-to-back. So 2 key wins. I gave them the win at New England, and then I do think they split with Baltimore, but they lose the one at Baltimore, but they win the one at home. So those are my 2 key wins, 2 key losses. Browns fans, dog pound world, whatever you call. Um, Let me know what you think.
mm,
Now moving on to our last team, the Cincinnati Bengals finished 4-11, bottom of the division. Obviously, they lost Joe Burrow early to an injury, ACL injury. He's recovering pretty fast. Hope to be available week 1. So Jake, give us a team weakness for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Now, going as of last year, because obviously they made some additions to the O line, but it's just a matter of how they're going to perform. They drafted some guys, so but we every draft pick, you have no idea what's going to happen. So I could only go off of what we've seen, and what we saw was your number one pick get hurt because he was getting laid out consistently every week, and then the game against Washington got obliterated. Okay, so I that's what the weakness is. You have to protect your future, and that's Joe Burrow. Like I said, they made some additions, especially in the second round of the draft. They drafted a guy, I forgot his name. Um, wow, I drew a blank. That's why we are the regular guys, ladies and gentlemen. But they drafted an O line. And I know Matt was happy that they actually took advantage of drafting an O lineman because we were like, are they going to go in the first round or in the second? Obviously, Jamar Chase was there, so you had to grab him. But that's where I think the weakness is O line.
Now, what about a team strength heading into the season?
I think it's been a while since you could say this. I'm gonna go quarterback. I think Joe Burrow is legit. It's been a while you could say Cincinnati has a good quarterback.
Yeah, I feel like you can also say the receiver group, but
Yeah, it's unproven,
yeah, it's
but
a little bit
I still
unproven.
think,
But
but you need a guy to throw to them.
yeah,
So that's why I think Burrow's gonna make them. Don't put Mixon up there. Take him down.
oh,
no, I'm putting
man.
it up there because as we move on to our next player on the hot seat, that's who I have.
Okay,
Joe
good.
Mixon. Why Joe Mixon is there? Not only are you not durable, you've never played 16 games in your 4-year career, but at least when you've gotten close, you've gone over 1,000 yards. Now, last year you only played 6 games and then you got hurt. Just as much as an O line is really good to protect Burrow in the future, Burrow also needs a run game. It doesn't have to be elite, but if you could get, some good 100-yard games mixed in there, good 1,000-yard season every year, get some of that pressure off of Burrow, a young guy still kind of coming into his own. Um, I feel like it would put wonders. So I'm putting Mr. Joe Mixon behind me on the hot seat because I feel like this is it, man. This is your year to help show us that whatever the Cincinnati Bengals saw in you. Now, hey, look, Joe Mixon, you're listening, watching this on Madden, you're an absolute stud.
Facts.
You need to go
It's
watch that.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know what you're
Rats.
doing on Madden, but you need to go watch that and
This
emulate that.
man's Derrick Henry 2.0 on Madden.
This man, stiff
Sheesh.
arming superstar X Factor D lineman, making it look like and taking it to the crib. I don't know what they did, what y'all see in Madden on Joe
It's
Mixon. I don't
Cincinnati,
see.
bro.
I don't
It's
see.
Cincinnati.
So that's my guy on the hot seat. Mike, give us a player you're excited to watch for the Bengals.
Man, we kind of touched on it a little bit. I'm gonna say Tyler Boyd.
I like
I
that.
think a solid receiving crew. You add Jamar Chase, so you look for Joe Burrow once he's healthy to get in connection with that. But I think Tyler Boyd has been solid, been a solid receiver, underrated receiver. Um, but has, as we alluded to, he has nobody to throw it to.
Yeah.
Nobody to throw it to him. So I look for that to kind of change. So that's one guy I think might pop. So in my fantasy football league, we'll see. He might be waiver wire.
I got you.
From
A team. So my team record prediction. I don't think they finished last. Obviously, I think we're all in agreement where we feel the Pittsburgh Steelers finished last. I'm going to give them 3 more wins than they had last year. So I had them at 7-10. And I feel like that's good. It's a good, slow, steady progress. Just every year, add another win or two on there. My 2 key wins, PJ may not like to hear this. I'm gonna give them a week 1 win against Minnesota at home. If this was in Minnesota, then I would go otherwise. I think they pull the shocker off and beat Minnesota at home. Also had in the have them beating the Los Angeles Chargers at home. 2 key losses. They lose to Green Bay and they lose. I have them losing both to Baltimore, but I'm just
all right,
highlighting
all right.
highlighting one of them, another loss for the Bengals. But yeah, definitely an improvement from what was it?
4-11.
Yeah,
Four
four
and
and
12.
eleven.
Oh yeah, 4-11, and they had a tie.
Yeah, from 4-11-1 to I have them going 7-10. So still some good improvement. Just keep building that. If you're a Bengals fan, all you want to see is just steady progress each and every year. But that is our breakdown of the AFC North. Obviously, if you're a fan of any of these teams, let us know down in the comments if you feel we got it right. Maybe, give us something from one of the questions or one of the players you feel is on the hot seat, whatever it is. If you follow these teams, let us know what you think.
Go
Again,
Ravens.
like Mike said, I'm not gonna say it because I'm not Ravens, fan, but hey, that's why Mike's here to break down the Ravens. Next week, we're back at it again. AFC South this time, where we will have a Colts fan, not me, come on the show to
Oof.
break them down.
Thank you. I ain't trying to hear about Big Q for a whole hour.
At least my team's good. But
Uh,
anyways,
e-
Hold on, real quick. What you got us beating y'all this year?
find out next week on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, we are at a good stopping point to go ahead and get a halftime break and hear a word from our sponsor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Not only is it free, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And we're back. We thank you guys for tuning in still to Regular Guys Podcast. As I mentioned beginning of the show, Caleb Garcia is back again, and Caleb's sad with me because the Suns lost the championship. But
Suns
we'll
at
get
4.
into that. This guy. Can I kick this guy out of here? But yes, we will get into that after continuing on with our theme of underrated players. We want to continue on with guest go first. Caleb, hit us with your underrated player in the NBA today.
All right. So I went with somebody that is definitely viewed as more as of a role player, only because when I think of underrated players that are, I guess, of high caliber, like most of them are kind of like everyone says that they're underrated, so they become overrated. So somebody that came to mind for me was Seth Curry, Doc Rivers' son-in-law, Seth Curry, because he this year pretty much, or I guess you could say at the start of the season, Daryl Morey basically finessed the Mavericks to get him for Josh Richardson for whatever reason. And it was such good offense for their team, for the Sixers. And, he averaged 45%, from three. It was like 48% from the field. I had him on my fantasy team, so I could see the damage he was doing. And then when he got COVID, he wasn't really the same after that. He was
Yeah.
one of the ones that seemed to really affect him. Um, but he's just. I mean, we saw him last playoffs get in Paul George's head a little bit, some
Yeah.
personal stuff there, but he got in his head. He's 6'2", he's being guarded by a 6'9" guy. He was getting in his head, and he's just a bucket. He's instant offense for the team, and he was one that came to mind.
Yeah. You know what? That's a really good pick because I feel like when people think underrated, I feel like it's an all-star, so to speak, or maybe a star. But the fact that you went with a role player, that's really digging in to really see, the real underrated guys. Obviously, Seth knows Steph, and he knows that. And I think that's every team needs a Seth Curry on their roster, a guy who knows his role, is for the team. Obviously, like you say, he's not afraid to talk that talk, like we saw in the bubble to PG, um, pandemic P, whatever his name is, way off P. Um, so yeah, that's a really good pick, man. Surprising. I'm not gonna lie, really surprising pick, but I do like it. What about you guys? Don't all,
Sorry, I thought I had my mic off, but it was
There
off.
you go.
No, I like the pick of Seth Curry too. What I think actually helped, I don't know if when he first was starting to come into the league, he was trying to be his brother.
Yeah.
He was trying to be Steph. I think with the 76ers and even with Dallas, he was trying to come into his own. Like
Mhm.
understanding, I'm not my brother. I'm not going to be my brother. Nobody's probably ever going to be my brother. It's
Yeah.
not disrespectful to say I'm not going to be Steph. There's only one Steph.
Yeah.
We've seen that. So I think once he realized, I just got to play my game. If they need me just to pop some threes, I'll pop threes. If they need me to create some offense off the bench, I'll do that. I think once he figured out his role, he started cooking. And then, like Caleb said, with the COVID, it affects everyone differently. So with him, it probably got a little bit worse. But we saw a couple games in the playoffs where he was literally the best option off the bench. So I like it.
What about you, Mike? What are your thoughts?
Agreed, man. That's a solid pick by Caleb. There were some stretches during the season where he actually shot better than Steph from three, and even all around on the floor. I would say I kind of liked him better in Dallas. When he was in Dallas, I felt that he was really in a system that benefited him well. Got a lot of great shots up, but one part of the series that I noticed in the playoffs this year with the 76ers, he seemed to be the only person that could go and get a bucket when they didn't throw the ball into Embiid down low. It seems as if he was like, well, nobody else is going to do it, so I'm going to go and do it. So, but I think that's a real solid pick. Real solid pick.
Yeah, definitely. But Mike, as you have the floor, let us know, man, your underrated player in the NBA today.
Well, man, I'm going to H Town. I'm going to say Mr. Christian Woods himself. This is a guy that I've been watching. Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I see the nods, but I'm going Christian Woods. I remember he was with Detroit back in 2019. Um, about 20 minutes, 13, 14 points. That's solid. This past year with Houston, he went up. I think he only played about 40 games and another 10 minutes on the floor. And now he's 21, 22 points solid. 51%. You can't disagree with that. 6'10", can kind of do it all, Swiss Army knife. So I think he gets overlooked, obviously, because it's Houston. Playing with a guy that I really like coming off the injury with John Wall. But if I think if you put Christian Woods with anybody else, I think he could really shine. So
Yeah, man, you guys are definitely coming with some really good ones. I feel like these, not that it's saying like to say these guys, you're really digging into your knowledge of NBA. Obviously, you should at least know who Curry is. Maybe not so much Christian Wood. So I definitely like that pick there. Um, I see why you went there. The potential was there with Detroit, but obviously Detroit had a big man clog up
mm-hmm.
for some time with Drummond. Obviously Blake left, and then this year they signed Grant, who's was actually really good for them.
Mhm.
So I'd like to pick up a Christian Wood. It's a nice piece going forward for the Houston Rockets. Um, I don't even want to get into what they did. For some reason, the fact that you ended up with Kelly Olynyk and whatever, bro. You guys, anything to add, Caleb?
I mean, that's a solid pick. I don't know why that he didn't come to mind when I was.
That's why he's underrated.
Yeah, that's why
That's
he's
what.
underrated, bro.
Truly is.
Yeah.
And he's a great story too. You know, if you don't know what happened to him on draft night, look it
Yeah.
up. Great story. You know, definitely a zero to hero story. Even though he's not, Houston was. I think they were the bottom of the West when it was all said and done. But
Yeah.
he's definitely proven himself to be an amazing player, and he's gonna be a great asset to a contender one day.
Yeah. Jake?
No, I love it too. He's actually a guy during the season that I just kept his name always kept popping up. Like I would just because I love sports, so I would look throughout all box scores. What happened? His name would always pop up as a guy that was contributing at a significant role. It wasn't one game he's good and then two other games he's bad. He was a consistent thing, especially for a team like Houston. Like Mike said, they really didn't have anybody to really help him out. John Wall played one every 2 weeks, so it wasn't like you could have that. So I love that pick. It was good.
Yeah. Really good pick. I'll go next. So I'm gonna follow this up with the guy who's an all-star. Um, Jake may already know who I'm talking about. It was me and him literally had the same two guys on our Who's Got Next episode. Mr. Zach Levine.
Mm.
This guy, I feel, is underrated. I feel like he's getting the treatment that Devin Booker got the last couple years, where everyone, oh, Devin Booker's so underrated. The Suns were so bad, but he was just that bright spot. I feel like that's the same with the Bulls. Man, the Bulls are so bad. Yeah, they tried to, salvage the season by trading for Orlando's big man, but still just didn't work. Um, Minnesota Timberwolves, if you are listening, and I'm going to say the whole organization, I don't know why you thought you could trade away Zach and everything was going to be sweet, but obviously he's making you pay for that. Right now, currently, my guy's averaging 27.4 points. Really nice. Super solid. Let's talk 3-point, because obviously that's where the NBA is. 41.9% from three.
Mm.
Now, this is a guy who maybe came into the league and wasn't designated a 3-point shooter. Everyone was, oh, he's a dunker, he's just a guard. There really wasn't much from him coming out of UCLA, especially after they got bounced to the Gators in the tournament. But, field goal percentage, 50.7. Man, it's only looking up for Zach. And hopefully, he's still young, 26. Hopefully, either the Bulls can build something and he can continue to stay there and just thrive. Or, I mean, hey, hopefully he can get out of there and go to a big market team and really start contending and get into the big dance, to the playoffs. But yeah, to me, underrated as far as like all-star level, kind of like how we may have viewed Dame, not now, but like years past, where Dame never really got an all-star nod, was underrated, like review book. Honorable mention, I got De'Aaron Fox. You don't really watch Sacramento a lot, and I mean, there's a reason why Luke Walton is not a coach. He wasn't even a player. But unfortunately, De'Aaron Fox is sitting there wasting away. I feel like a lot of talent there. Marvin Bagley, what's his name? Shooter.
Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy. Buddy's also sitting there wasting away. Again, a nice young talent. Just I feel like Sacramento is just like Minnesota. They just kind of waste talent, good, talent at least. So that's what I have. You guys let me know your thoughts.
Well, I got a man crush on Zach Levine. I mean, I love me some Zach Levine. I loved him since I can see in Minnesota, just by watching every year how his game changed,
Yeah.
especially after the ACL injury. He knew if I want to be a top player, I have to conserve my body.
Yeah.
And the way you conserve your body, you need to create a jump shot. You can't be just driving into the hole and that's it. It's great, it's explosive, no one's going to stop you, but it's really going to put some wear and tear on your body. And you want to try to make, obviously, you want to try to get the bag as much as you can. That's what everybody plays for in the pros. But you want to be able to contend. And in order to contend, you have to be there, you have to be available. So he's improving that jump shot. Uh, like I like the Bulls. They seem like they're going in the right path very slowly. But we'll see what happens. But hey, I love me some Zach Levine. So whenever we get to talk about him, I'm happy. I don't mind it.
Yeah, man. What about you guys, Mike?
Solid pick, real solid pick, man. Zach Levine is a certified bucket getter.
Oh yeah.
And what I like about it is anywhere on the floor. We already talked about his dunking prowess. So when he gets inside the lane, it's 1-2, and his forehead is by the rim. So it's just he's one of those exciting players. Right now, he's just on an onslaught. I mean, obviously being on the Bulls, he's just kind of got the green light to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
I would probably like to see him. I mean, obviously he's when you're that guy on a team like the Bulls, I can see why, but I would definitely like to see him ramp it up on the defensive end a little bit. Because right now he's just
I
kind
agree.
of. I don't want him to get like the Devin Booker stereotype where he's all offense when you think about him. You
I
know,
agree.
eventually kind of lock up on defense a little bit, but solid pick.
What about you, Caleb?
Yeah, great pick. I mean, he came up. He actually did come to mind, but I was thinking like the show we he got some highlights on a past show, so I thought I'd show some love to somebody else. But I mean, Zach Levine, he's an easy player to root for. I was hoping either him or Donovan Mitchell would win the 3-point contest this past time around because they both won the dunk contest. I would have thought that would have been really cool. It's great to see these players like Zach Levine and Donovan Mitchell that really show they can do both at an elite level so much that they get thrown into these contests. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's really proven himself as an all-around offensive juggernaut.
Yeah, and just the last little bit. I definitely agree with you, Mike, on there. Besides the dunking ability, I feel like him and Booker are kind of similar, but I agree with you. I feel like these guys are really good. Obviously, Booker was on the big dance this year. So if you didn't, for some reason, you lived under a rock, you really got to see Devin Booker's game. But take that step defensively to become a superstar or elite, because I feel like the elite players affect the game on both, sides of the floor somehow. So Zach, we know you're listening as you're preparing for the Olympics
Yo,
on
let me get
Sunday.
a jersey, Zach.
Yeah, let me get a jersey, bro. Let me get one of them. Maybe some shoes, bro.
I just take a follow on the gram. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, same for
Yeah,
regular guys. You want to
same,
follow us on
yeah.
the gram?
Follow, come on the show. We'll do all that. We'll take
Follow
all
my
that.
guys, man. Follow my guys.
But Jake, in the soft man, with your underrated player of the NBA.
So I picked Miles Turner for the Indiana Pacers. Now, the reason I went Miles Turner, he is not your guy that's going to put up 30 points a game. He's not that kind of big man. But he plays defense. He averaged 3.4 blocks a game this season. That's incredible. And he's 6'11", so compared to some of these other guys that are actually bigger than him, these 7-footers, um, he's not that big when you look at them, but he's big enough to play the position very well. But he's very consistent. He'll get you 12, 15 points. He gets the boards, but it's that defense. You need that interior guy to lock up. And it's not just a guy that's going to stay in the paint. He'll jump out to the perimeter too.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch him play, he's very athletic. He's very side to side. He plays everywhere, but he locks that paint down. He's not like Rudy Gobert that he camps. This man has a house. He has a little mobile home in the paint, and he just sits there. All right. Miles Turner will actually play everywhere and make a difference on defense. And he doesn't get enough respect, especially not Indiana. If you put him on a team that can contend, that needs that big man on defense, shoot, let's say if he was on the Suns, which we'll talk about that later, maybe that would have been something different. But I picked Miles Turner reason.
Man, now look, again, man, this is why we don't go over who we're going to choose. I'm honestly really blown away by all of our picks. Literally, for those of you who are watching, you may say, "Okay, Miles Turner, yeah, only 12 some points," but he's a glue guy. He's literally like Seth Curry. He knows his role. I heard a soundbite where he said everyone wants to be great, but sometimes they don't accept that the role that they need to play is what they need to do to be great. My guy took a backseat to Sabonis, okay, but is thriving in it. And again, that's I understand you may look at the points, well, it's only 12 points, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, excellent pick of underrated. Obviously, you've heard the chatter of multiple teams who may be interested in trading for Mr. Miles Turner. Um, Definitely a really good pick as far as what he does and what he can do and defend. So, what about you guys, Mike?
Solid pick, real solid pick, Jacob. I like that. If I'm probably gonna say he's probably Roy Hibbert 2.0. Um, better mover. He moves laterally really, really well. I like the fact that as a big guy, he can come out and shoot the three if need to,
Yep.
shoot a jump shot, but he doesn't necessarily need to be out there all the time. I like the fact that he knows that he's almost a 7 footer. Get in the lane. I don't need you outside all the time. I like the fact that he can go in the paint, bang with the big guys, get those rebounds. As you mentioned, it seems as if the block is a lost art. Like nobody's really getting too many blocks unless it's, right on their man. I've
Yeah.
watched a few games with Miles, and he's right on his man getting the block, not backside like Zion or somebody else, but he's right on his man getting blocks. And it seems as if rebounds is a lost art. We watched a team in the finals uh, out rebound somebody else, and ultimately you could say that's what led them to a championship. So if somebody was to trade him like a contender, I think he would make a big difference.
100%.
Yeah. What about you, Caleb?
I mean, that's an excellent pick. I mean, he's, such a great defender. And it's just to think about how much the Celtics probably regret that Gordon Hayward Turner trade didn't go through because they were trying to get more than him. And, look what they had to bring Horford back in. I mean, you would have gotten what Horford can do with Turner on defense, but for years to come. Now they're on a time frame, but he's such a great player, and he's also one that I'm glad you brought up because he did get hurt later in the season, so might have been one that easy to forget about, but great pick.
Yeah, Miles Turner's only 24.
Yeah, stupid young.
Like, so if you think he's good now,
Yeah.
and his free throw percentage is 78, which for a big man is tremendous.
Yeah, there's so many young talent, man. So much young talent. But you guys let us know, man. Let us know down in the comments. Underrated players in the NBA. Do you agree with our picks? Obviously, all of us here loved each and every one of our picks. You guys let us know some guys who maybe we're missing, that we're maybe not shedding some light on, and maybe we can do so. But now we move into the sad part of the show where we have to talk about the Phoenix Suns and how they lost the championship to the Milwaukee Bucks.
CP3 lost championship.
Those of you who are watching, now we touch on the part of the show where I've been dreading all day, and that's congratulating the Milwaukee Bucks, your 2021 NBA champions, rightfully so. And just kind of dissecting this series in full. Last time we talked, I want to say it was tied 2-2. And I made an assessment that the team who could win an away game will win the series. And I was right, but I was also wrong because I said I felt the Suns could. Obviously, I was wrong in that perspective. But I was right because it did come true that the team who could win an away game would come away with the series, and we saw the Milwaukee Bucks do so. I'm just going to start off and just kind of give my thoughts on this series and how it played out. It sucks. It really does suck. For those of you watching, for those of you here, obviously, I have gone back to my roots of basketball of Phoenix. It felt super good, and it still feels super good. I'm not gonna lie. I really haven't felt like this in a minute as far as rooting for one team and getting off the LeBron James where he at bandwagon. Me and Caleb have literally texted every single game during the game, our thoughts when we won, our thoughts when we lost, what we wanted to do, who we felt should be added. And what it really just came down to on why I feel the Phoenix Suns lost this is rebounds and physicality. Now, Giannis did what Giannis did to DeAndre Ayton is the reason why at the beginning of recording these episodes is why I maybe slept on DeAndre Ayton when they played the Lakers, because I felt Anthony Davis would do the same to DeAndre Ayton. And Anthony Davis is a better, maybe all-around shooter as far as compared to Giannis. And I was right. He did drop 230 pieces before he got hurt. But although Ayton is tall, he lacks girth, size. And I feel that's where the series was at. It also didn't help that Dario Saric tore his ACL literally minutes into the first game of the finals. And your next tall big man is Frank the Tank, who didn't play all playoffs until now. So it's kind of tough that, hey, man, you didn't play, but we need you to play now in the biggest moment of the biggest, of the year. So it sucks, but I will say that if there was somebody that you would want to lose a championship, I mean, obviously you don't want to lose a championship, but if you had to at least be like, okay, you know what, I can respect that we lost to this team, it's definitely Milwaukee. Everyone was clamoring for Giannis to leave a couple years ago or even last year before he signed the extension or the max contract, but Giannis stayed true to the city of Milwaukee and came out on top champs. Obviously, my guy dropped a 50-piece Chick-fil-A McNugget and then went to Chick-fil-A and ordered a 50-piece McNugget. So you're happy for the guy at the end of the day because, as he should. He threw shots at, the super teams, the LeBron Jameses, the Kevin Durant's that had to go to other places to win championships. He got it done at home. So I'm happy there. But just to kind of wrap my little spiel up, just going forward, what I would like to see for the Suns to do is just add size. It's really plain and simple. JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, if you're listening, hey, go sign with the Phoenix Suns. Add a point guard of the future. I know Chris Paul has to decide whether or not he wants to come back. Obviously, he said he wasn't going to retire. I do see him coming back. If you can somehow sign Triple B's Lonzo, I'm all for it. Jake doesn't want to hear it because he wants him in the Mecca. But come to the Valley, bro. We're going to go to one more Suns fan himself. Caleb, tell us your initial thoughts on the finals and how it transpired, man. And don't feel
I'm gonna start off probably where I guess the show left off was Game 5. I mean, it was back in Phoenix. They had all the momentum. You had performances from Vanessa Hudgens, the Jabberwockies. You had LeBron James, obviously rooting for one of his best friends in the world, Chris Paul. The crowd was crazy. I don't know if you saw the guy counting the $100 bills when they were doing the Giannis countdown. I mean, they probably had the wildest crowd all season, and they let it go. I mean, they just didn't play like they wanted it as much, and that was the hardest game to watch because seeing it come back in Game 6, like all the things that Matt brought out, like if it had been the Kyrie, Harden, KD, Brooklyn Nets, I'd have probably turned that game off, but
yeah,
it would have been
stung. I feel like it would have stung a little bit more.
Yeah, it would have been such a bitter taste in your mouth, or at least for anyone that wasn't a Nets fan. But I mean, it was like the most respectable team really ended up winning in the end. So, you know, congratulations to them. Congrats to Giannis for putting on one of the best finals performances of the, past 10 years or so. And yeah, they deserve all the credit for it.
Yeah. Jake, what about you, man? Let us know your take. Go ahead, bust out your sons of four thing as I sit here and cry.
So I'm a quote my guy Ye. I run with the Bucks, boy. Let me be Giannis. Okay. Let me Giannis. I've talked a lot about him throughout the playoffs. I said he was overrated. I thought he was, but this man was questionable going into game one, and then after game one, dropped 20 points. Everyone's like, oof, he's questionable for the rest of the season. And then, I mean, for the rest of the series, everyone's like, maybe this isn't it for the Bucks. Try again next year. And then he just goes on a tear. And then the question that we raise again, well, he can't make the free throws. Last game went 17 for 19 from the free throw. Giannis said, I'm not going anywhere besides Chick-fil-A tomorrow and get me my 50 piece. He said, I'm closing the game out. I'm not worrying about anything else. He put the team on his back. Yeah, everyone played the right role. Chris Middleton got the shots at the end that he needed to get to close out the game, which is what you want him to do. But it was Giannis's win for the team. Like you said, it's a guy that everyone loves. No one has a problem with Giannis. Everyone's a huge fan of him. Maybe because he stayed with Milwaukee that everyone loves him even more. But still, you never hear anyone talk bad about him. But I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the Suns that they made it, especially Booker. He was a guy that really needed it. So don't really have anything much to say because I think Matt covered it all. They're just too small. Like they got bodied. You would think Aiton. Mike was talking this before pre-show. You would think he would do something more. That he would have been a little more productive on the boards. I'll let him talk about that a little bit more. But they just got outworked. They got outbodied. Simple as that.
Yeah. Mike, take it away, man.
The I mean, congrats to the Bucks. I think for the longest they've been the team that's had the best record in the East, been one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. So for them to finally break through was nice to see. Giannis obviously kind of denounced the super teams, but let's be honest, with Drew Holiday and Middleton, they gave him much needed help. Because Giannis is the type of player, yeah, he can go and get 30 and 40, but it just doesn't feel like 30 and 40. If you notice, like if Chris Paul goes and get 25 or Book gets 30, 35, it feels a little bit different. But the key point for me, man, for the Suns was DeAndre Ayton. Um, a wily veteran like Jay Crowder. I knew what Jay was going to do. Game five was very pivotal. I was locked in the game. Jay Crowder came out, hit some really big shots, but right away I could see that they were going to struggle offensively because they didn't get the ball as much. DeAndre Ayton, they constantly made him as a big guy, made him move. He didn't really have too much time in the paint, but there would be some times I would see him getting boxed out by Drew Holiday. Like it wasn't anybody that was significant. And maybe I'm just an old school guy that watches basketball, but in order for you to get more possessions, you got to get rebounds. You got to get rebounds, and I felt that DeAndre Ayton, it times in that game, maybe in the third quarter, he just looked tired. I don't feel like they need depth. So definitely Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, somebody come and give them some help because honestly they need it. But I'm hoping they run it back, retool, run it back. I would definitely like to see them pick up a backup point guard, maybe get somebody else to help Devin Booker out. So that he doesn't have to be constantly on the floor. But like we were talking with Zach LaVine, Book, you got to step up defensively. I think that was another point in time watching the series where you just wanted your guys to go mano and mano. Hey Devin, go find Middleton and lock it up. Instead of trying to keep switch and do this. No, man up, man them up, and go for what you know. So, but
Yeah, man, it was definitely tough, especially game five, like Caleb mentioned, just to start off on such a tear, man. And like he mentioned, just the crowd. High School Musical's very own Vanessa Hudgens is singing the national anthem. LeBron James is bringing his own tequila courtside, and the Jabberwockies are there. Fans are counting hundreds. This feels like a Suns win. We're up 16 points, and then we go into halftime tied. And from there, I knew it was not going to be pretty, but definitely it's the rebounding was so bad, and it was not just Aiden. Yes, Aiden, you're the big man. It is definitely your job to do so.
mhm, mhm.
But when you are letting, is this the right? When you are letting Pat Connaughton get rebounds, that's when it's bad.
Who? I need that Snoop
Literally,
Dogg
like
gif.
they were literally from Pat to Drew to Chris Middleton. It was just
Everybody was getting bored.
everyone was getting boards, and
It was like Oprah passing out basketballs. You get it back.
yeah,
You get a
like
rebound. You get
and
a rebound.
I agree again with Mike's take on Booker. I'm not saying Booker you got to be elite. Obviously, you Suns fans would love if you could be an elite defender, but be respectable defensively. That teams aren't searching for you on defense.
Switch. Yeah.
Make it to where you're the guy they want to set the screen to get you off of them. That's all. That's all you got to be. I think he can. I think this year he'll, go into the off. Well, never mind. He's playing for USA team.
Bitch, I don't know why. It's a
I don't
lost
know how
cause.
you. Yeah,
I'd be like, yo, I got
just
if I
go
play the
home.
Olympics, I get 3 weeks off.
Yeah, just go home, book.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but
He's young. He's never been to the finals. They'll learn.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But we'll see. I agree with you to an extent, Mike. Of I would like to run it back. Definitely, you just got to add size, man. Really add size. Um, Howard, JaVale McGee. Maybe if you don't get Lonzo, definitely try to get someone who
I
you feel.
like Cameron Payne though. He didn't
I
play
do
bad. I feel like
too.
he stepped up big time
I do too,
this
but I
year.
feel like he's a great six man. I don't think he's your
Hmm.
Okay,
future.
I see what
What
you're
is
saying.
what
So
I
you
mean?
still want to keep him, but you want another solid
Yeah,
point
I
guard.
just need the guy of the future because this team is extremely
Okay.
young, and then you have the one old piece in
What
Chris
about
Paul.
Sexton? I see he's on the market.
I wouldn't feel bad, but that man keep bleaching his skin.
What is
He keep, bro. Look at this guy's pictures, bro. Whenever you get a chance, I wish I could pull it up right now. This guy's literally a different color every time. Are you worried about playing basketball? I know it's Cleveland, bro, but are you worried about playing basketball and bleaching your skin, bro? I mean, come
Bro, it's Cleveland. It's not that much sun. He's been inside all winter, man. He lighten
on.
up.
True. So we'll see. Any
Yeah.
I would like to ask this question though, and I'll give this question to Jake. So now that Giannis has won a championship, is still young. To most, hasn't even entered the prime years yet, which is a scary sight. Where do you feel this puts his legacy? Just in overall, I'm not going to say is he top five because obviously he's not. You got to win multiple of these to enter that discussion. But just give me a perspective and the folks listening. Where do you feel his legacy is after this finals championship?
So I think you have to put him just respectfully with not just the championship, but how he performed. I think he's definitely, if he wasn't already, has to be top 3 players in the NBA right now. And I think you still have to give the respect to LeBron and KD because they've done it. They got the rings, they got the hardware. But after that, it could be very put up to this. It's very debatable for that third spot. But I feel with how Giannis has performed, and he had probably the best finals performance in Game 6 that I've witnessed. To not only like it was to win it. He went out there. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to Phoenix. I'm staying here. We're gonna win, and that's it. That was the mindset he had. So I think that puts him at top three. But like you said, it's still too early. He definitely needs to do more
Mhm.
to be in that when he's all said and done, at least top 50, top 40 player of all time. Um, but I would say, as of right now, just the respect of what he did this year, I have to put him at least top three. But it's far from LeBron and KD.
I got you, Mike. We saw the reaction. Give us your thoughts.
Hey, the championship helped him, no doubt. It really did. But you got to win multiple to get to dethrone KD, LeBron. Like we definitely there's a classism between those two and where Giannis is. What helps him, might I add though, is the other wars that he's won up to this point.
Yeah,
Uh, like the big thing for me is the defensive player of the year. Like that solidifies that you a top notch guy. Because not only we talking about, I mean, obviously we know his inefficiencies on the offensive end as far as shooting, free throws, whatever the case is. But I mean, he silenced that. He left the game was like, I'm gonna drop 50 and do it that what you may. And
yeah,
finals like, yeah, I can't shoot free throws, but what I do really well, you can't stop. And then I'm gonna drop 50 on you, get the finals MVP, win the finals, and I'm going back home. I'm staying home. So
yeah.
uh, I do think he needs to. I think some people may view it just because he stayed in Milwaukee. He's a homer. They may give that a little bit more credence, but I think he has a little bit more work to do as far as just winning championships. He doesn't have to win another MVP, defensive MVP. I mean, obviously, all star that'll come along, but he just needs to win more championships before I'm willing to say he's better than KD or LeBron.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Um, and just to wrap this up, and then Caleb, I got a question for you. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with the assessment. I'm going to say three behind, Katie LeBron. And many people may say, well, what about Steph? Let me know how many Finals MVPs Steph has.
Thank you.
That's I'm gonna
Yeah.
just leave it there.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just leave it there. Yes, 3 rings, 0 Finals MVPs. So, and the way
Your dollar
that,
won an MVP.
yeah, the way that Josh went about, the 240 pieces back to back, the triple double, to follow in game 4, and then or was it game 5, and then the 50 piece to end it off is just icing on the cake. So, but now, Caleb, my question for you as a Suns fan: where does this leave Chris Paul? Do you think he will ever get a ring?
I I think he does, and it's in the way that I really hope doesn't happen because I feel like the Lakers need him and he needs the Lakers right now. I really hope that does not happen, but that seems like the most viable thing for them because I know they would love Lillard because I mean that would be the best player they could probably get that's somewhat available if you want to call him that. But I think it would be easier for them to get Chris Paul, and I think that would be his path to a ring. Like assuming they would stay healthy. Um, if if he signs with the Suns this year, I'm going to be rooting for them all the way. But just with all the obstacles they'd have to overcome, assuming this playoffs are healthier than the last or these ones that just passed, I see them at second round exit, whether they keep Chris Paul or they signed Alonzo instead. Like I just see them as a second round exit team, unfortunately. Like, I mean, maybe make the conference finals, but I don't see them going past that. But I do see Chris Paul getting a ring because I just keep seeing these articles pop out about the Lakers' interest. So I think that's quite possible.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly agree with you. If he will get one, I don't see it happening with the Suns. I agree with your assessment of where the Suns kind of stack up. I do feel going forward they should be a lock to just about make the playoffs every year. But unless Mikal Bridges is going to show us that he's all of a sudden a 25 a night guy, I just don't know if they can repeat this. Now, everyone that I've seen is, oh, Suns had the easiest route to the playoffs, to the finals. They had no AD, they had no Murray, they had no Kawhi. I don't know if you realize this, but this is just how the playoffs go. You don't control that. You think the Suns wanted to play the Nuggets without Murray? No, they want your best. You think they wanted to play the Clippers without Kawhi? No, they want to prove they can beat you at your best. Obviously, there's a game still needs to be played. So you have to, deal with the cards that you're dealt. Obviously, they're going to win because you are missing an all-star. So what I would love to happen is let Cameron Payne walk, sign Lonzo. Now hear me out, Chris Paul. You may need to take somewhat of a minute decrease. But it's okay though, because I feel like it will help you come playoffs. Lonzo is a guy who I feel is kind of similar to you, just taller. And at this point in his career and your career, he's better defensively. Plays the game just as well as you do, as not as well, with the mindset as you do as a floor general. Add some size. So if all that happened, you add some good size behind Aiden, then I'll feel a lot more confident that you could get back. But no, I do agree. Unfortunately, the only way I see him getting a ring is going to join the banana boat, bro. LeBron James.
Hey, get Melo over there too.
Nah, bro, Melo, come to the.
And then have D Wade come back from retirement.
Oh,
There you go. You
okay.
got the whole
No,
banana boat crew.
Okay, nah, he chilling doing game shows.
Bruh, leave
Trying
D
to-
Wade and his knees alone.
Yeah, he trying to make that money with the Jazz. and
But
get
I
the
do
second
think
coming
what
of D-Wade.
Caleb said is fair. That and I know what you're saying, Matt, you got to play what's in front of you. They're hurt. That's not the Suns' fault. They took advantage of what they had. But you have to be realistic. If everyone's completely healthy, do the Suns make it to where they were? Yeah, you have to be completely honest with yourself. If LeBron doesn't get hurt in the regular season like he did and is completely healthy, even without AD, I think they have a better chance.
No,
LeBron
I
wasn't
agree.
healthy. LeBron was struggling these playoffs.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready. Now, if everyone's healthy, I don't think they make it maybe past LA because of the size.
Yeah.
LA still has size on them.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Bucks. If everyone's healthy on the Nets, that series was very difficult for the
Not
Bucks.
even healthy.
It wasn't
Wear
easy.
the right size shoe, my boy. Goodness gracious.
So it's not bad to say that if everyone's healthy, it's not as easy.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have issues. So
Yeah.
I still think, I don't know.
Yeah. Go
That's
ahead,
how I
Mike.
see it.
Man, I got a question for you though, because you bring up the Lonzo. Could you see maybe CP and Lonzo on the floor at the same time?
I could. Now I say this because it's almost to that effect of seeing Cameron Payne and Chris Paul on the floor at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Lonzo's obviously a way better defender than Cameron Payne.
Mm-hmm.
Lonzo can also push the pace just like Cameron Payne. So that's where I honestly feel like it could work. And it's like, I mean, Chris Paul, bro, you about to be 37. It's not like you're, at that level anymore. Now, if this was Chris Paul at 30, then heck no. Yeah, Chris Paul, stay. This is you. But it's like you're kind of just on the back burner right now. Still solid, but not nearly the same.
Because when you were talking about it, I instantly got to thinking because clearly they're a smaller team, but if you get a CP1, maybe him and Lonzo at the 2, then you push Devin Booker at the 3. That's a lot of up and down the court right there. I don't know who else you would put at the 4, but I kind of picture that. So that's a nice lineup though with Lonzo.
I like Lonzo, but he doesn't have that shoot first mentality.
Which is fine because in Phoenix you don't necessarily need that.
No, it's true, but if he's gonna do that, which I love it too, because he has the size on defense.
Yeah.
He has to, when the ball gets to him and it's open, just take the shot. That's the one thing I have against Lonzo. If it's open, he won't take it. You had players, JJ Redick would yell at him consistently, shoot the ball.
Yeah.
you're open. How else are you gonna get better? Yeah, it's nice working on the off season in an open gym, but when you're playing in the middle of the NBA season, if that shot's open for you, you have to take it. So I think that mentality needs to switch up. Still be the floor guy, still be the defensive guy, but on any of these teams that are looking for you, they need you to shoot it when you're open.
And that's why I said I want that pairing with Chris Paul, because I feel Chris Paul's knowledge can really help you grow into potentially maybe what he never was, just because of your height standpoint and where you are defensively.
I like that.
Offensively, I feel Chris Paul could really help elevate your game into getting to your spots, shooting, pick and roll, but also seeing the floor like Lonzo does. So we'll see. But
I
to
mean,
to
he
wrap,
helped Aiton pick up,
yeah,
step it up a little bit.
him, Bridges
So
too, so that's what I'm saying. Like Chris Paul, the mantra around the league is that Chris Paul is a bad teammate. He's not. You had guys like Blake Griffin and James Harden that didn't like being yelled at or didn't like being told the truth. Sometimes you need that. And like Mikal Bridges said, no, I didn't like being yelled at, cussed out, whatever the case is, but it helped me be a better player. And I feel like Lonzo would take great to that. So, but to wrap it up, you guys let me know your final thoughts on this series so far.
on
Starting
the
with Caleb.
finals,
Yeah. Just, last little bit of words. Anything to add?
I mean, I guess what I could say. One of the biggest highlights, nobody brought it up, was the dunk over Kaminsky, Bridges, and Paul. I don't know if you guys remember that Giannis's dunk, but he just
Oh yeah.
completely
Don't remind me.
posterized the three of them at the same. I mean, they were surrounding him, but it just didn't feel real when I watched it. I'm like, how did that go in? Like, how was he able to do that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a great series. Now, if Nerlens Noel is listening, if he wants to take a Contenders discount, come to the Suns. I think that would be a great fit. But
no, he could stay in New York. He could stay in New
that's
York.
my final thoughts on those that want to sign. I think he'd be a nice fit.
Caleb, that's tampering, right? We can't be having that on the show.
Tampering, if you're a fan.
Can't be having that.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys said anything. Mike, Jake, anything to add?
I'll probably say, I know Giannis, obviously, he's the Finals MVP. He's going to get a boatload of credit, especially after hyperextending the game, coming back 240s and then the 50. But for me, two key players were one, Drew Holiday, making the decision. I don't think Mike Budenholzer made the decision to let Drew pick up Chris Paul almost 94, the full 94. I think that helped. And then Chris Middleton, like we know he's streaky, very streaky, but when that mid range is falling, man, it's one of the nicest shots in the league. There was some like Booker, Jay Crowder, hand in face, and it's teardrop.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I think overall,
I cringed every single time he had the ball.
man, especially in the fourth.
Yes.
In the fourth quarter,
Yes.
it was like, oh, him again. But
Yeah.
I think they found their closer. I think they found their closer. But all in all, I know, like I said, Giannis is going to get majority of the credit, but Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton for me really showed up in this series for me.
Jake, closing words on the.
No, I think everything's been good and said. The only thing I will say, not really basketball related, but if you watch when Giannis went to Chick-fil-A, my guy ordered a large Sprite mixed with lemonade.
Yes.
I tried that. That thing hits.
Hey,
Telling you,
Giannis, you
that thing hits. I'm telling you, it's don't. It was good. And then Suns in 4. So.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, obviously, end of the season is done. Going forward, we have the NBA draft to look forward to next week, the 29th on Thursday, and then obviously we will be ramping up when the season kicks off, the free agency, speculating all the news and signings and whatnot, who's got traded, this and that. But you guys let us know down in the comments where you Suns in 4, or were you fear the deer? Are you happy with the outcome? Regardless, obviously, me and Caleb, Suns fans, not necessarily happy with the outcome, but can respect the opponent who won in Giannis. So, Giannis, enjoy your 50 piece and that Sprite and lemonade mix. Definitely got to try that. I got to go order me a 50 piece. You think they'll let me do that? Probably not. I'm not Giannis. But ending off with our favorite and your favorite, the hype. Obviously, we reached out to you guys as we do each and every week. We had our boy Micah Bankard, who obviously you guys know, White Lightning, if you will, said that he was happy for training camps to be on their way. Obviously, they have kicked off this week by rookies starting attending camps. The vets will start rolling in next week, but that was something he was hyped for. Mike, let us know, man, what you are hyped for going forward.
Ultimately, for me, man, it's the beginning of football season rolling around, but more importantly, college football for me. Yes, I'm a Ravens fan through and through, but college football really gets me going. That's what I'm really hyped for. If you don't know by now, me and my brethren up here, we're Gators fans. And so you can get in these comments and talk reckless if you want to. You know, I got all the facts to back it up. If you talk crazy, we can go about my Gators. The Ravens, I'm cool on. Like I love my squad, but man, I'm ready for big time SEC college football this year.
Yeah. Caleb, tell the folks, man, what you're hyped for.
Well, in everyday life, I'm hyped for. I don't know if you guys have seen what's been going on out west with these floods, but we're out in the Phoenix Valley, but we're getting flooded every day. It's kind of annoying. Like I love when it rains because you don't see it often. Like when I was back in Florida with you guys, but I'm done with it. Like if it can only happen while it was at night and while we're sleeping, it'd be great. But
Yeah.
I'm hyped for that to be over. As far as sports go, I'm hyped to see what happens with these off-season moves. So this NBA off-season seems like it's going to be more of a soap opera than it is
As it is
each
every
year.
year.
So as it is every year, but this one, there's a lot of different pieces that are probably going to be moving around. So excited to see what these jersey swap photoshops can do, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot.
Yeah, man, that's a good one. Jake, tell the people what you're hyped for, man.
So I teased it a little bit last week. I said that I was getting ready to have something in my possession, and I finally got a hold of it last week Sunday. I took about 10 L's trying to get this joint, and it was that PS5. I'm so happy I got it. I'm not as big as a gamer as I was back then. It's different when you're single and then married. Can't be gaming like that. But definitely, I'm just happy to have it. You take so many L's for all my sneakerheads out there when you're on that sneakers app and you're trying to purchase something and you see everybody that says got them and then yours just says, well, try again. And then it's just you get all sad and just depressed. And then you finally get that win. Felt good. So I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, man. Something that I'm hyped for. Two things is just one. Again, football season is here. It feels so good. It is literally the best time of the year is when football season can start, and it's not just the NFL. It's college, like Mike alluded to. As a Gators fan, I'm super excited to see what beholds the Gators if Emory Jones is as good as advertised. Um, and even going down to high school, obviously, I still follow Dunbar High School and what they can do there. So just football on all types of levels. Just really hyped and excited for. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I don't want to sound cliche, but just hyped for the show, hyped the direction of the show, the fact that we can continue to invite the guys that we would have these conversations with normally onto the show. I feel like it's only right to continue to bring those on who, you would have those debates with, whether they were heated or not, whatever the case was, to have him on the show so that way you, the fans, could realize and see that we're authentic as it can get. So, again, we thank Mike coming on the show, breaking down the Ravens. We thank Caleb coming on the show, jumping on for the NBA part of the show. Again, we're also thankful for you guys that are watching, listening, the regulars listening to us. Continue to follow us, interact with us. We got some stuff lined up for our story to interact with you guys going forward. And again, next week we have another guest coming on to break down the Colts for the AFC South as we break that division down. But that's all I got to say. Jake, hit us with some closing words and the closeout.
All right, guys. So like Matt said, it sounds like a broken record, but it's completely genuine from me, him, PJ in the background. He's not here all the time, but man, he's definitely one that helps us with ideas. We're constantly talking. We're constantly trying to figure out what's best for you guys, just listening, and then having our friends Mike, Caleb, just giving us that constant support. That's what we want from everybody else, whether it's critique, whether it's I want to talk sports, or hey, you guys don't talk about this enough. Educate us. Micah came on here, educated us on hockey. Come on here, let us know what you want to talk about. Educate us so we can talk about it better. But we appreciate the support. We love you guys. Keep following. Stay tuned. We got some great stuff. Peace.
Regular Guys Podcast.